end of set situations where they were, they'd done everything they could do, and then were pushing it maybe. But that is a fantastic effort and a huge difference maker, and it probably the most significant thing. Do you think, that completion rate?
Well, it helped to turn the ball over in the right place, didn't it? And the only and it seemed like whenever Warrington got a sniff of a ball, they started to panic and either messed up on a free play and it went back, or they thought it was a free play and it ended up not being, and lost possession. And they ended up making a lot of silly errors in that first half and just never built any pressure. The only thing Catalan really did wrong in terms of, I'm just thinking of the Murdoch-Masilla try. Obviously, it was a mistake from the high ball, which we saw a few of. I have to say, I thought King had knocked it on myself.
Well, I think if that one had gone up the other way, it would have come back the other way. Josh Charnley was also offside on the chase, but I don't know if he got within 10 because it never really focused on that aspect of it. Let's because there's other decisions before that one I think we'll maybe need to talk about. So let's
do it in order.
Run through the little bits of action. So really, started with a big kick from Lange that it was Stefan Ratchford who wasn't able to deal with.
Dropped his lollies, yeah.
And then it seemed like the try that Lewis Tierney scored, the Warrington defence, particularly Harvey Livette, who looked a little bit out of his depth defensively, to me. They weren't urgent in shutting down the space for the Catalan side, and that gave Ben Julian lots of time and space to set up a position for something to happen, and Lewis Tierney finished well in the corner, and the kick was fantastic from the sideline. I always love Wembley sideline conversions. I'm just trying to think where you would have been in the stadium for that. You would have been in the opposite sort of corner, wouldn't you? I
was in the opposite corner, so I wasn't quite behind it. But it was a good kick, and it always helps to points are going to be at a premium in the final, so it always helps if you can convert your tries from out wide. So 6-0, you can't really argue, and they put Warrington on notice, haven't they? If they made a mistake, they were going to punish them. So it was a great start. It's perfect.
Yeah, I sort of felt like in that first 10 minutes or so, 5 out of every 6 collisions was won by Catalan, whether they were carrying the ball or in defence. And so you couldn't argue with them getting up the field like they did. They got the penalty right in front of the sticks for, I think it was a hand on the ball slowing down the ruck. So that they took the 2, like you say, points are a premium potentially going to be in a final. So stretch out to that 2-score lead early on, and you sort of really starting to be on top. The next real piece of action, I don't know what you'll have made of this. You were probably quite close to this in terms of as the action unfolded. That will be the no try decision, as it was for the Tom Lynham try. It went up as a no try as well from the referee. He called the obstruction.
Yeah.
Let's get your thoughts on that one.
Okay, so I was sat next to a couple of Warrington fans, and I said after the first replay of it. So live, when I saw it live, I was suspicious about whether he got it down in the corner or whether he'd slid out.
Because so long away, whether he'd actually got it down before his legs went out. Yeah, we had question marks over that.
Yeah, obviously we didn't get to look at that. So, but yeah, it was I can't say I'd really noticed the potential obstruction on when I saw it live. But then obviously when it went up and you saw, I forget who it was who changed his line now.
It was
it Philbin?
Yes, I think it was Philbin, because he'd come on for Westwood, who was having a head test, hadn't he?
That's right. Philbin had come on, yeah, and he'd have been fine if he'd kind of run to the inside shoulder and he could have avoided the contact. But for some reason, he changed his angle on the replay, and that was clear. And although at the time I was kind of saying you were a bit unlucky not to get the try, actually on reflection, when I've watched it back at home, it was a no try in my opinion. It was the right call, and it was the right call live. So again, Hicks did well on that one.
I think you summed it up well. I think Ben Fayler summed it up excellently when I watched the game back the next day. He explained, like, he's making his line, then he's all of a sudden he changes it to the defender's outside shoulder, so the defender's got no chance then of coming across, and that makes it an obstruction. And I agree with you. It felt like it was a little bit harsh at the time, because you kind of thought, was the defender going to make a difference on that play or not? But at the end of the day, the attacking line was wrong, and the rules have been relatively well defined now on the obstruction, because we've had so many problems with it and conversations about it, and that just stuck out to me watching the replays from in the ground, that he stepped and went to the wrong side of the defender for him, from his point of view. So yeah, I agreed with that one. Then Warrington kind of managed to keep up the pressure a little bit in that period, and they of course got the try, which was another kick that went up that wasn't dealt with. And you feel that they were lucky a little bit, Warrington, there on that one then?
I thought it was. I thought on the replay, again, only when watching it back at home, that Toby King had at least a finger on that ball, and it went into Gigo, was it, at the back, I presume?
It was Yaha who he was jumping with.
Was it Yaha?
Yeah.
Okay, well, in my opinion, it definitely hit King, and it definitely went into Yaha. So, and then obviously it spills out. I think it might have been simultaneous, and it wasn't really clear. And I think obviously if it had gone up as a no try, it might have come down differently. But
yes, I think
in my opinion, it was a knock on from King. So in a sense, the 6 points that Warrington got in the first half, I think they might have been lucky to get those.
I think the way it was read was that Yaha had knocked it out of King's hands and backwards. So rather than King knocking on, it's the Catalan defender had forced the ball backwards. I think that's how it was read. And given that it was set up try, given that it was happened so fast, I'm comfortable enough with that interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's I think
if tries sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it is simultaneous which I think it was kind of fingers and kind of thumbs all together, wasn't it? It's like, well, you can very easily you can argue that it's 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other, isn't it? So it is reliant on the call on the field. And yeah, I mean, in that sense, yeah, I mean, as a decision that is close, I'm quite happy for that to come down and confirm the referee's instinct, which was to let it go, which is I don't think you can overly argue that point, because it's split second, and it's micro, it's frame by frame stuff, isn't it? Which is we don't want to be taking 10 minutes over a video referee decision, do we? So I'm happy for that to stand as it was. And
then the next piece of probably really meaningful action, I'm not sure exactly where it came in the breakdown of things, but there was the McAlorum tackle on Darrell Clark. Darrell Clark in the first half looked really ponderous. Even when he did jump out of dummy half, he didn't appear to be dynamic in the running that he was doing. It's like he had a sense of what he was trying, where he was going, but then not really a clear sense of what he was trying to achieve, who was going to be with him, what plays were actually on, and other people didn't seem to be going with him either. It seemed all hesitant from the kind of creative aspect of the Warrington side. And obviously McAlorum then went off and Garcia moved into dummy half, and Garcia did what I've seen Ben Garcia do more times than I think I should have seen Ben Garcia do, which is dive over from dummy half, and no one can stop it. They almost did. I think they would have done if Ratchford's leg hadn't got in the way, because it'd have been double movement. It's just that was lucky/unlucky, because the leg obviously kind of possibly prevented him from getting all the way to the try line in the first go, didn't it? I suppose.
Yes.
But it was clear, wasn't it, on the replay, that it wasn't a double movement because it was on the leg. So it was the right call.
It was a clear try. Again, the live call was right, and you were just looking for confirmation of the ball getting down, and it clearly did. So again, good call. And because obviously I'm 100 yards away from it, I've got no idea live. But
no, I couldn't see.
But yeah,
I couldn't see whether he got the ball down or not from my angle as well. I was sort of on the opposite sideline to kind of where that happened, so I couldn't see. All I could see was bodies, not arms and balls, sort of thing.
I mean, the one thing, just going back to what you were saying about Clark, what was really interesting to me was the number of times that it seemed like the wrong man got the ball from dummy half in terms of certainly towards the end of the set in terms of kicking. I mean, we had the kick out on the full, didn't we?
Oh,
we had.
But that was Kevin Brown. It was the right kicker.
It was Brown.
Just the wrong execution. Yeah.
But then there was a case on the other side where I think Roberts wasn't expecting it, and he kind of had to hurry a kick, and I think that also went out for a 7 tackle set, and yeah, they just didn't seem to.
That was right near the end, that one, weren't it? I think that was when Derek Patton was in dummy half. But yeah.
Yes, it was. It was last minute or two.
It was. I mean, Warrington fans will argue there was offside, but it was either Busquet or Simon who came absolutely motoring out and shut down any sort of thinking time and space. And Roberts was already a bit wobbly in this game. He wasn't making the right calls a few times in this game. And he seemed to forget that he had a world-class finisher out on his right-hand side wing, because one of the worst plays that Warrington made in the whole game, I think, was the time where it went out through hands and went to Toby King on the last tackle, and he put a kick in for him and Charnley to chase, but it wasn't the right situation to be doing that. Whereas if the ball could have got to Charnley at some point earlier, there was potentially going to be a finish. Yeah. So. Second half, though, start of the second half, you think, right, there's got to be a reaction here from Warrington. But still,
you're assuming so.
The intensity of the defensive line was being led by the Catalan Dragons side way more than it was being led by the Warrington side. And also, they were winning collisions with the ball, so they were getting much more time and space for them to kick. And one of the results of that was probably the individual moment of skill of the game. Just the effortless 40-20 kick that Tony Gigo kicked right towards you. He kicked it, didn't he? Really? Yeah,
it was beautiful. It was, it was obviously, they were in the right position on the field. But yeah, it was, technique. It was perfect. There was no doubt about it going in, and yeah, it was, as you say, it was pivotal. And yeah, again, they took the chance when they had it.
And that was a really, really good. Run by the dummy runner on that try. I think it was Kenny Edwards. He absolutely took out the Warrington defensive reads, and it meant Gigo just had basically to keep his eye on what Charnley was doing on the wing, and if Charnley snapped in, he threw a ball across to the winger Yaha, or if Charnley kind of stayed out, he gave it to Willie Army, and Willie Army was wandering in. It was a really neat setup that Warrington really just fell for completely on Kenny Edwards' run because he's such a dangerous player. So that was Braden Willie Army's try, and at that point it was another good goal, another good conversion from Drinkwater, and it was 20 points to 6. And probably it felt like the game could get away because Warrington were playing desperately, like people have suggested.
Yeah, they were horrible. I mean, I think you can carry. In terms of their spine, you might be able to carry one of your players having a bad game. But I think Ratchford, Roberts, Brown and Clark, I don't think any of them had a 7 out of 10 game between them. I think they were all poor, and you can't carry that kind of poor performance, really.
Yeah. No, I agree, and they were snatching at stuff, and they didn't seem to be linking up at all very well. They didn't seem to be playing together, and then, like you mentioned before, the end of sets were really quite poor from both of the halfbacks as well. And Ratchford didn't get involved as much as you would have anticipated, and Clark, like I was saying before, didn't have people with him. But they still scored the next try through another kick. This time Josh Drinkwater kind of made a bit of a hash of it, didn't he?
He did.
And Tony Gigo was left kind of stranded, furious, thumping the ground, showing all the emotion that he had attached to this game. What did you make of that? I mean, the try was just that's what it was, a mistake that Wire took advantage of, but it kind of felt like that was the only way they were going to score up to that point. What did you make of kind of what was going to come next? After that was on 56 minutes, so sort of on the hour mark, it was 20 points to 12. What did you think? Where did you think the game was going to go from that point?
Well,
as Catalan for a day, were you nervous?
Well, obviously you get nervous as the score starts to close in, don't you? I think looking at it from positively from a Catalan point of view,